Hi everybody. This video is all about the top 4 moves for strengthening your back and improving your Cambré derriere. So this is a video designed for dancers, but these movements are awesome for anybody who wants a strong core of which the back is an integral part. So let's just, from a dancer's perspective, talk about it for just a moment. When we think about that Cambré derriere, you've probably heard many times in class about taking a long arc rather than compressing into your low back and taking a fold over. Often we see dancers doing that though, which over time, of course, is going to create a lot of pressure, discomfort, and potentially injury in your low back, your lumbar spine. When you cambre, you want to come from your rib cage region or your shoulder blade region, which is your thoracic region of the back, and then the head and the neck just follow along. So it all initiates from this mid-back region right here, and these 4 exercises are going to help us find that as opposed to initiating by folding at the low back, which again can lead to all sorts of discomfort and pain. In addition, when dancers fold, they very often displace the pelvis. They press it forward, they bring it out of neutral. Sometimes they stick their tailbone back behind them, which is another way of bringing yourself out of neutral. But in order to protect the back and keep the core engaged while you find that arc, it's really important that the pelvis, the lower region of the core and the spine, stays in that neutral position. So that's another thing that we're going to be improving and solidifying via muscle memory when we do these 4 exercises. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to come down onto our stomachs. So these 4 exercises are taken directly from Pilates, which, if you've not yet experienced it, is the most beautiful complement to dancing that I can come up with as far as strength training goes. So let's go ahead and start. Hands are underneath the forehead. Your legs are about hip distance apart. Your thighs are turned down toward the mat. So to find that neutral spine and to really think about stabilizing your pelvis when you arc, I want you to think about on the front side of your body, the one facing the mat, your hip bones and your pubic bone. They make a triangle right on the front of your pelvis. And for most of us, we tend to arch the back a little bit, right, which tips the tailbone back behind us and lifts the pubic bone away from the mat. The other deviation from neutral is to tuck your pelvis under. So, and you can do these right here. They're not going to hurt you when you're just looking for positions and feeling what that deviation feels like. When you tuck your pelvis underneath you, the pubic bone presses down into the mat and the 2 hip bones pop away a little bit. We overdo the front core, we kind of disengage that back core, which is not at all what we're going for here. So take those 3 points of reference, your pubic bone and your hip bones, and try to level all 3 of them to your mat or to the floor that you're laying on, so that you're not arching, lifting the pubic bone, you're not tucking under, lifting the hip bones, but that all 3 make gentle contact with your mat, and there's your neutral pelvis. So from here, we're going to keep the pelvis in neutral. The first exercise is to strengthen that mid-back from which we create our cambre. So you're going to lift just a few inches off the floor with your hands, your head, and your chest, just until you find the muscles of your mid-back right around your shoulder blades. And then you're going to gently lower down with control. So Pilates has breath for every movement. We're going to take a big inhale through the nose as we lift up, and a nice big exhale through the mouth as we lower down, continuing with that movement. If you don't already know about Pilates breath and the fact that it moves primarily side to side, there is a tutorial on my YouTube channel that can give you a little bit more information about that. There's also a post on the Pure Alignment for Dancers website. So we're going to do about 3 or 4 more of these. Inhaling as we lift up and exhaling as we lower down. Pilates is all about quality of movement, not about quantity. So if you're doing this correctly, if your pelvis is staying anchored and you're really lifting from the mid-back, you should already be feeling those muscles. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling up and exhaling down. We're going to do 1 more. And then as we lower down, we're going to keep that neutral pelvis, and we're going to take the arms out over the head. So same action. The chest and the head are going to lift a couple inches only, but at the same time, you're going to take one arm and the opposite leg and reach them to opposite walls. So it's still a small hover, still focusing in that mid-back, and then lowering with control. So reaching one arm opposite leg as you gently hover up, and then coming down slowly with control. Inhaling as you lengthen and lift, and exhaling as you lower that down. Keep that movement going. So think about the fact that Cambré derrière is supposed to be a long arc. We're supposed to lengthen the spine as we move into that beautiful shape. This is us both strengthening and lengthening at the same time. Check in with that pelvis. Make sure all 3 points of that triangle are still equally anchored to your mat. Let's go 1 more time on each side. And the beauty of these exercises is that once you master them, you can add on to them. So the same 4 exercises still hold true as being incredibly valuable, but we add on. Let's take the hands underneath the forehead and give yourself a moment just to relax. So you can come out of that neutral for a moment, not think about it, and just take a few deep breaths. Let your body soften into the floor. And that'll give us a chance just to review the neutral setup one other way. So 1 more nice deep breath, relaxed. And then once again, just make sure that your legs are about hip distance apart, that your thighs are turned straight down toward the floor. And this time, think about taking your tailbone, the base of your spine, which if you're really, truly, honestly relaxed, is probably arching up a little bit toward the ceiling at the moment, and just drive it toward the wall behind you until you feel the 3 points of the triangle equally anchored to your mat. So that's just another way of thinking about that neutral. We're going to take the hands and bring them opposite the chest. So you want to make sure they're not underneath your shoulders, a couple inches down below the shoulders. Elbows are going to pull into the sides, and we're going to take a moment just to roll the shoulders back and down. So this is going into our bigger Cambré arc, but we're not going to lose the idea of neutral pelvis and lifting from the mid-back rather than folding from the low back. Ready? So you're going to push into the heels of your hands. You're going to lift up, and as you come up, make sure you take your belly with you. And then very gently lower back down. So every time before we go up, we want to do 2 things. 1 is roll those shoulders back and down. 2 is anchor the pelvis. And then even though you're lifting from your low back or from your back muscles, you're also thinking about pulling your belly towards your spine. So I'm not leaving my low abdominal area behind me on the floor. That's where we get that folding and that compression. Let's do that about 4 more times. Inhaling as we come up. Head is just going along for the ride, so we're not folding back with the head. Exhaling on the way down. Good, we've got about 3 more of these. Keep moving those shoulders back and down, away from the ears. If you're not quite yet coming up this high, no big deal. We're going to do 2 more. Shoulders back and down. Good. We're going to do 1 more. This is also a great upper body exercise. You should feel your triceps, your chest. And gently lower down. Good. And then the very last exercise that we're going to do today, there are tons more, but these are my 4 favorites for strengthening that area and improving that cambré. We're going to take the hands out over the head. They're coming out on a slight V. Anchor your pelvis again, so you're finding that neutral spine. You're going to take your upper body, lift it up back to that low hover, so we're not coming up too high. And then you're going to pull your shoulder blades down your back as you bend your elbows. Reach your arms back overhead. And then lower all the way to the floor. We're going to add a breath pattern to this. So we inhale up, lifting into the mid-back. Exhale as you pull the shoulder blades down your back. Inhale as you reach back over the head. And then exhale to lower. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhaling as we come up. Exhaling as we pull back and down. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale to come down. We have 3 more. So the nice thing about this exercise, and really all of these exercises, is this also helps us tap in to that shoulder blade region of the back to get really familiar with it. I'm sure you've heard instructors say to you before that your arms actually begin moving from the back, and that's the region from which they move. So strengthening that region, becoming connected with it, is also going to help us with our port de bras. Let's do 1 more. And gently release. And then take the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's press up and back. Let's find a child's pose. So go ahead, once you get into child's pose, go ahead and walk those arms out in front of you. And then press the undersides of your arms toward the mat, and you should feel your shoulder blades draw away from center a little bit. You can also wrap your arms around your body so that your hands are back by your feet, and just let your shoulder blades passively fall away from center. And just take some nice deep breaths here. And then breathing deeply into your core, gently roll it up to a seated position. If you need to come cross-legged as opposed to staying up here because this bothers your knees, feel free to do that. We're just going to lace our fingers, flip our palms to face forward, press forward as you round that mid-back region, and feel the shoulder blades really draw away from center. And then just to give ourselves a little counter stretch, release the hands, roll up, flip your palms to face outward, zip up that low core, sweep your arms back behind you as you open up the chest, lift the gaze, breathe here. Good. So let me know how you enjoy these 4 exercises. Let me know if you have any questions. And once you're ready to move on and embellish these exercises a little bit, let me know and I'll help you with that. Have a great day.